next inductee is Joe Nahem, and full disclosure, I know him since I was a kid. Joe is going to come up and tell us about how his Brooklyn past in the Syrian Jewish community shaped who he is today as a world-class interior designer. And we have a second world-class person who's going to come up and actually interview him, and that's his brother, Edward Tyler Nahem, of fame because of the art gallery that he runs in Manhattan, which I'm so proud that the two of them have decided to be here. So, Ed and Joe, you want to come on up?
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? By admission, I'm the older brother, and I'm going to interview the younger brother. So I would say, by the way, there was all of the talk earlier very quickly about Ebbets Field, and I'm proud to say that another famous Nahem was Sam Nahem, who pitched for the Brooklyn Dodgers, among others, in the major leagues. I don't think there are any other Syrian Jews who played professional baseball, but he has his own special history. I'm really honored to be honoring my brother Joe here tonight, thinking about his early days with interest in design, interest in fashion, really take me back very far, and we are, I would say, collectively proud of our Brooklyn roots. I say all things come from baseball or Brooklyn, and maybe the two, and I think talking about my brother here tonight, it's another testimony to Brooklyn yielding talent like it does. I don't know if it's the drinking water or something geothermal, but I don't know a borough that's yielded more talent per square foot than this one. So, yeah. Joe, I wanted to ask you what some of your early days and influences were. I mean, obviously we have our parents who were incredibly open and generous with what they showed us, even in their own limited capacity. But can you speak to what your early influences were?
Well, I just wanted to add one more thing about the Passover baseball. We did the same thing. But we went to Yankee Stadium with packed matzah and hard-boiled eggs. So we had the same experience, and we ended up being in the centerfold of the Daily News on a day we were supposed to be at school, and we all played hooky to go to school, and we're on the centerfold of the Daily News, so there was no hiding that. But I think, growing up in a place like Brooklyn, and again, our world was fairly small. I came from a very large family. I had probably, I think, around 50, 52 first cousins, and we were all very close. So again, to me, that was our world. But I was lucky to be also exposed to going to the city and our parents taking us, occasionally to museums and things that were inspired. But even within our own community, at a very young age, I had just interest in design, and my cousins, family was like, oh, help me, help them, and I think that's kind of where I got started. So for me, even the synagogue, which, I forget her name, I'm sorry, I was talking about the synagogues earlier, our Shara Zion, where was our synagogue, which was built in the 60s, was designed by, I don't know if people know this, by Morris Lapidus, who was the same architect who did the Fontainebleau and some of the most famous Miami glitzy. So to me, just going to shul was like inspiring to see the synagogue there, and then just working there. But I also wanted to say, I'm just a little surprised to be here, because hearing all these stories of the other people and changing the world, I think I could change the world maybe one house at a time, but it's, I'm very inspired by people like you and the people who spoke before us, and that does make a difference to me, and it's I can't say it really did a lot of changing of the world.
It did.
Yeah, I guess for some people.
A quick thing, by the way, when we did go to Yankee Stadium with our packed Passover kosher lunches, as the guy with the steam box with the hot dogs came by and all the cousins got a whiff of it, we all looked at each other coming from kosher households and
On
saying,
Passover.
anybody dare? Nobody dared.
No.
So, yeah.
Not one people person.
But Joe, I also wanted to ask you, what were some of your first jobs? Because I know they came out of Brooklyn, and can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, as I said a few minutes ago, I was very lucky to have cousins, relatives, people within the community who trusted me at a very young age, because I'm a high school dropout originally. I went to work with my family business, and subsequently I met my partner, who was a WASP from Florida, who knew nothing of Judaism in Brooklyn, and he got accepted into the community because we started doing work for our cousins, relatives, and other people in the community. And he inspired me to get my GED. I went back to school. I graduated from Parsons in Paris. And our first project that we did together in Brooklyn for another Syrian Jewish family ended up on the cover of the home section of the New York Times before I even graduated from Parsons. So that was like our ticket. And from there, we got to, do some amazing projects. But we continued working in Brooklyn, and I will say our family, which I think is about 475 strong now, with our cousins, the children, the grandchildren, now great-grandchildren, most of whom still live in Brooklyn. I would say a majority of them still live in Brooklyn and still married within, most of them still married within the community. So having gotten the start with family, continued on for even till now, working in Brooklyn. So I'm very proud of being a Brooklyn-born, young-ish person.
Joe, along this storied evolution, this trajectory, this journey, what would you say are some of the highlights that you're particularly proud of? Actually, I'm sorry, I wanted to preface it with, I know Joe's first job was, they said to him, look, we just put a window here and a curtain there, and that's it. So how would you go from that to where you are today? And I see we're about to get the hook, so.
Yeah, they're cool.
So,
I said to Ed earlier, please make it brief, because I am not good.
Okay,
I'm a
but
pretty good
just,
designer, but I'm not a good speaker.
Can you just outline briefly a couple of the highlights along the journey?
I mean, I've been very, very fortunate to have great clients. I have a great team, some of whom are here tonight working for me. And again, without that, I don't think I would have gotten anywhere. And support from my family and my spouse, who, hi Jeff, who's here. So I think that would be very important to me and help along the way. But I also got to travel to some amazing places, work on projects, all over the United States, and work for very famous people, and that's always very exciting to be included in that. And even with that, I tell people, like, I'm a Jewish boy from Brooklyn. And I've been lucky to be inducted into some of those other Hall of Fame, so it's not my first one.
Joe, thank you so much.